Hey, guess what? Elseworlds is coming to your CW very shortly, and we wanted to bring you something special, and we're bringing you the hottest Elseworld books of all time, according to C. Wood 19. So, without further ado, the host with the most, the toothpick throwing, step on the gas, he's gonna whoop your ass. Carson, what's up?
What's going on, Chad? Glad I could be here. Thanks for having me. I'm ready to talk about some Elseworlds comics. So, getting ready to segue into, I know, our probably favorite of all time, the Super 7.
Absolutely.
So that includes
the best.
The Adventures of Superman issue 6 is what we're going to start off with, followed by, my boy, Connor Kent. Superboy is annual issue 1. So this is part 2 of Super 7. So, Chad, let's take it away.
So, in a very far distant planet, there's these aliens, and they're ready to invade Earth, and they're called the Horde, and they're kind of creepy, bug-like creatures. And they come in, and who do they got to go up against? None other than the Super 7.
Yeah, on this first splash panel, it looks like, just your run-of-the-mill Justice League book, like, just Justice League, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and everybody else just fighting aliens. But as you keep going, you're quickly going to figure out that this is Elseworlds and this is not your normal book.
No, so in this one, I think the aliens get the better of them. You get Green Arrow, Green Lantern, you've got Booster, all of them, Atom, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Shazam, Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, getting their Rudy 2 candy asses whooped, crucified, and Hawkman takes one in the gut. I mean, honestly, he takes it in the gut. They crucify Green Arrow, and they bust Barry's kneecaps in.
Yeah, basically what the aliens end up doing is, they're having a little bit of trouble with the metahumans. So, unfortunately, the aliens are very smart. So they basically just get this big, not a jumbotron, but they project themselves over Earth. And basically their leader named Grendel says he's going to kill 1,000 civilians for any time a metahuman does anything. And 5,000 more each time a metahuman, fights back. So, more or less, this not only makes sure the metas have to fight the aliens, they have to worry about the humans on Earth too wanting to protect themselves now. So that's where the real stuff goes down with Wally. He gets his legs completely messed up. We get Green Arrow gets crucified. So you can imagine myself as a 10-year-old looking at this panel. I'm like, holy crap! They're not messing around in these Elseworlds books. And then, even the humans, I believe, because it's a helicopter in the background, I think it's the humans that actually take out the Hawk people, just trying to fight with the aliens instead of, with the metahumans like they should.
But who's there leading them and helping them out to take them out? None other than my favorite redheaded, full hair redhead, Alexander Luthor.
We got 90s looks. I love it.
And you also get a little bit of, the Blackhawks are in here, and I think in this panel you see a little bit of Deathstroke as well, teaming up with Nightwing and Alexander Luthor.
Yeah, you got some interesting characters as members of the Blackhawks. So it says you got Selena Kyle, Catwoman, Jim Harper. If I remember correctly, my 90s, information might be a little bit cloudy here, but I think that's the Guardian, who's in a lot of those Metropolis Superman books. And like you said, you got Nightwing and Slade, and it says others. So a lot of interesting characters they kind of just threw in here. And boy, they didn't stand a chance. As you can kind of see on the next panel or page, they get their butts handed to them basically.
Very, very quickly. So now the aliens have taken over. They're making Earth their place. And there's whole Jimmy Olsen. Somehow Jimmy Olsen survived, but with one less eye.
Yeah, we get a 9-year time jump here, so we can see that Jimmy is kind of like the very last bastion of hope for any resistance toward the aliens. And with that comes, one of his best friends, one of Clark Kent's best friends is Lana Lang. She's kind of just completely taken to the side of the aliens for self-protection. But early on here, it looks like she's kind of trying to work with Jimmy a little bit too, just to kind of be that hopefully peace bringer between, the Horde and our humans of the DC universe.
And I think we even had like a little moment there. She like rubs his lips and she's like, let's, I'm tired of all these aliens. I'm ready for some one-eyed humans.
And the catch is, she knows where Superman is. So that's how we get our first of the Super 7 to come back.
So we got Superman chilling out at some prison and gets thrown into a cage. And lo and behold, who do we find? Lana and good old Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, so basically at this point, Clark, he's just 100% defeated. He's changed his name to Clark Small, so that's why no one can find him. Creative name there, Clark, but I guess it got the job done in this universe. He says he kept fighting and fighting, but, eventually the Horde leader defeated him. And, without Lois and, all of his friends there beside him, he really isn't Superman. He's just completely defeated at this point. And then, Lana and Jimmy present him with this bastion of hope. He's got this little envelope with Lois's hair in it. So that kind of spurs Superman into punching through a wall and finding his old shirt just tucked in a wall there. So next thing you know, him and Jimmy, they're flying off to hopefully put together some sort of resistance.
And then you get Lana. She has that little bit of a smirk on her face. Like, she knows she's playing both sides and she doesn't know which way it's going to go. So, like, right now, your heart's pumping. You want to see... I'm always about the future and trying to see what happened to these characters. That's why, like, some of the future stories, such as, Kingdom Come, and Age of Apocalypse, just seeing those alternate reality versions of our favorite characters always brought something to me. So the next superhero we see is none other than Wonder Woman, and boy is Superman happy to see her.
Yeah, absolutely. Another hopeful figure in the DC universe has always been Wonder Woman, so her showing up can't be a coincidence here. So as soon as she shows up, you got Superman there. We're going to get some teams assembled. So, but, she kind of looks normal, comparatively to some of the other ones, because, she's probably been back on, Paradise Island. But the next hero, he looks like he's had a pretty rough 10 years.
So, I think he has enough pouches at this point. Again, this is the 90s, and I think during this time, Age of Apocalypse was out, and they said, let's just make Scott Summers Batman.
So, I need 5 times the pouches to fight these dang aliens.
Where are they?
Where are the other metas? Yeah, it definitely looks like he got Rob Liefelded a little bit with all those pouches. Like, he has, like, thigh pouches for each thigh, and he has bicep pouches. And, Batman has all kinds of hidden bat shark spray and such inside those pouches, I'm sure.
And I kind of dig the Batmobile, because the Batmobile is more a tank. It's kind of like I wonder if they drew any inspiration off of the Dark Knights off of this particular Batmobile, because it's very reminiscent of it. But then you get Manchester Black and Wonder Woman. I mean, I'm sorry, that's Superman wearing a trench coat.
I do want to go back to page 27 real quick. Probably the best shot in the whole comic is the Batmobile and Batman's. I do, as much as I made fun of the pouches, that tattered cape does look pretty cool, and you get this silhouette shot of him taking off in the Bat tank with his tattered cape in the background there. I think that's probably one of the coolest panels in the whole comic.
So then you have our first meeting between Clark and Bruce is extremely pissed off. He's just yelling out of the side of his mouth. It's almost like Rocky. Adrian! I don't get it. So
yeah, he's definitely not happy. The last 10 years, he's been the only one, obviously probably besides Jimmy, he's been the only, Justice League member who's been trying to fight back, and luckily he has, his ninja skills and everything. He's been able to stick to the shadows and everything, but Wonder Woman left him, Superman quit and gave up and left him, so yeah, he's definitely bitter.
Well, they get over it quick, and now they're looking for some other ones, and lo and behold, they come across none other than somebody cleaning up and burying people, which he is very used to in the 90s, none other than Hal Jordan.
Yeah, I feel like DC editorial about 94, 95, and even before that, they must have had some really big bone to pick with Hal Jordan and Coast City. Like every version of Coast City around this point gets leveled and destroyed, and even in Elseworlds, even though we're in a worst case scenario Elseworlds, there's no exception here. At least Metropolis had like a couple buildings standing. In Smallville, even though it was, a prison, hey, it was still standing. Like Coast City here is just rubble and a giant graveyard. And you got aliens just picking on Green Lantern because he's trying to respect the dead.
I love the name of Ghost City.
Yeah, Ghost City, yeah.
So, all of a sudden, Superman shows up. These aliens go after him. Boom, bang. They're starting a little bit of a brawl, a rumble in the jungle. And then over her left shoulder jumps the hero to save all heroes. And he's sporting some bat gauntlets, a sweet leather vest, Bueller style, and some tethered pants, none other than long-haired Connor Kent.
Oh, man, I don't care if they really didn't explain where he came from that much. I'm happy to see our boy, Connor Kent, there to save the day.
And everybody just looks extremely befuddled. The face on Jimmy, he's just like, huh?
Yeah, so, maybe they ripped the scene off in the new Batman vs. Superman. It's like when Wonder Woman shows up, there's like, I thought she was with you.
I thought she was with you. So, Green Lantern is about to get his head blown off by an alien. Batman kills him. Superboy flies back into panel. Batman takes a quick look at it, and then Wonder Woman, let's just say, whoops Superboy's ass. For no apparent reason. Incredible.
Yeah, they have this. There's a really weird chemistry throughout this. It's probably like, as much as I love these two stories, there's this one, like, the most out of place thing to me is there's this weird chemistry they tried to establish for whatever reason between Wonder Woman and Superboy that goes throughout this whole thing. And I kind of didn't understand why, and still kind of don't. But yeah, Wonder Woman and Superboy, they're always picking on each other in these Elseworlds issues here.
So back to now, Hal Jordan doesn't miss a beat after getting his head almost decapitated by the aliens. He goes right back to burying the people of Ghost City. And at this point, hey, chin up, little man. We got to get you up and ready. And all of a sudden, Batman gives him a pep talk, and boom, we got Green Lantern back in business. And the first thing he does is squeezes Superboy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like a hug? That was weird. A little weird.
Yeah, it goes from probably like one of my favorite scenes in this particular issue to the weird treatment of Superboy once again. I would love it if they kind of ripped this off in the actual Green Lantern comic book, where, for some reason Hal's just beaten and, he's kind of giving up hope a little bit, but then he gets that extra little gusto to finally say the oath in Brightest Day and Darkest Night, and then you see the lantern rise from a grave. That is a really cool scene right there. But yeah, it's followed by this like, well, we have this new Superboy, what we don't trust at all, so we're gonna, throw him in the trash basically right off the bat. So yeah, kind of weird there once again with Superboy.
But as soon as Hal gets the ring back, he gets his little bit of a swag back. And hey, you know what? I think I might know somebody that might be able to help us. So they go down this alley into this apartment building, and lo and behold is this crippled gentleman walking with a cane with two braces on both legs. And he says, I don't know who you're looking for. Superman says, here, think quick, throw some books at him. He catches them. Catches them super quick. And who is it? None other than Kid Flash himself, Wally West, with two bionic legs.
Yeah, he went to the Clark Kent School of Name Changing. He has changed his name to Jay Allen, thinking no one would ever find him. So, yeah, Batman probably found him pretty quick, I would assume. But yeah, it looks like, I don't know if they're braces or he just got his legs chopped off like Jack style from Mortal Kombat 2. He has like the metal limbs. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how Kid Flash is going to help them out here.
So all of a sudden, I don't get this, but instead of the Batmobile, now everybody's invisible. Wonder Woman has the ability to make everybody invisible, just not planes, but living organisms and a bat tank. So they are going on the attack. They're going after the Horde. Well, as the Justice League gets there, who's already been there and whooped everybody's ass? That's right. Mine and yours. Number one, Superboy.
Yet they call him an irresponsible amateur as soon as they arrive. Even when he single-handedly destroys these aliens it takes like, what, 5 or 6 of them to attack at this point? Like, they can't even say, hey, man, nice work. It's like, you're irresponsible. You're an amateur. It's like, well, you guys have been, like, chasing your tails for 10 years, and this guy just annihilated someone you were having a tough time with before you could even get there. So, once again, they got to be hating on Connor, but he's slowly earned his place in the Super 7.
So they break into the facility, and the Resistance, we'll call them the Seven, are working together to come up with this plan. And all along, Jimmy Olsen's here. He's your one, the trailblazer that's seen it all. He's the gunslinger. He's the Clint Eastwood. He's even wearing that Clint Eastwood like robe.
Yeah.
So
he just needs that hat.
They break into it, and then all of a sudden, I guess more resistance just jump out at them. And it's not aliens, but I mean they're petrified at first, and most of them they're just the humans, and they're scared. And then all of a sudden you got Connor. I mean, honestly, this panel here is one of my favorite '90s panel because he is completely not in proportion of what his body should be. He's got these massive thighs, massive. Well, let's just say it's probably the first appearance of the Superboy dong. and does he even have hands, or are they just blocks?
Yeah, well, I think his hand's kind of drawn in there because I'm reading the physical copy as we're going. It looks like a shadow, though. So, yeah, I did have to take a close look at that before you mentioned it. It looks like he just got a little nub. But yeah, around this point, I think it says issue 50 in mine. I feel like the artist was a little bit rushed toward the end of this issue with, that 90s Superboy panel there. Yeah, pretty repugnant proportions, as you mentioned.
And then all of a sudden we get the ghost of Lex Luthor. And Superman's like, no, he's dead. And the entire time, Alexander, I loved this version of Lex.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, he was horrible, but it's kind of cool to see him. If you guys haven't checked out the Death of Superman, that version is in the animated movie. So I highly suggest if you want to learn more about this guy, he was horrible, just as the regular Lex. So what we find out is that he has taken his subconscious, his essence, and put it in one of Superman's biggest foes, Metallo.
Yeah, we get number 7 of the Super 7. If you guys look at the cover, I mean, you don't know who that 7 figure is. It almost looks like it could be like a Deathstroke type. But yeah, it turns out it's Lex Luthor as Metallo, which, what a nightmare that must be for Clark.
Because right off the bat, we have to show whose is bigger, and Lex opens up his chest and hits him with some kryptonite. Yep. Shuts it real quick and says, hey, we're going to be partners on this, so let's see what happens. And they all agree, and now the 7 is formed.
Yep, the last splash panel of this issue is just one big unholy alliance between Lex and the rest of the Super 7, and maybe they finally, at this point, are like, maybe Superboy can be on the team. Why not? He seems all right. So, and that's to be continued for Superboy Annual number 1.
But that cover, look at that sweetness on Superboy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're getting the full 90s version of everything good in the world. Acid stonewashed jeans, ripped bandanas, long hair, jeans pegged, boots, teenage angst. Oh my god. It's everything
Yeah,
that the
that's a
90s
must buy.
What's that?
That's a must buy right there for me as a 10-year-old.
So here we are, first panel up. We've got Superman rekindling his, well, it looks like a little more than a friendship with Lana Lang. She is the only person wearing an evening gown and high heels in the sewer next to April O'Neil.
Yeah, she's even got the yellow. She's one yellow raincoat away from just being April O'Neil at that point. But yeah, I do want to point out the graffitis in the background. How early '90s this is. You got Howard Stern in the background, Suicidal Tendencies in the background, Pantera, Metallica, Megadeth. '90s baby.
'90s.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it's kind of funny how this all starts out too, because it's like, hey, they have Lois. Here's a lock of her hair. And boy, he's already getting close with Lana Lang there, huh?
So then we go right into the Super 7 Men of Steel, Part 2 of the training session of the Resistance, where Batman is demonstrating how to break mannequins. You got Green Lantern trying to hit the Flash with a hammer. And again, Wonder Woman and Connor going at it.
Yeah, the most unlikely pairing of the Super 7 for me is it's got to be Connor and Wonder Woman. They're still going at it. I mean, as you keep going, it's like Superboy keeps flirting with her, but Wonder Woman, she's just not having it. Even though she keeps spending her time with Connor Kent, I think in her head she's kind of having it. But yeah, you go to the next page and Batman, he's just like, you know how to kill an alien? Just punch through its head, apparently. So,
but this is a classic 90s crossover right here. And the reason why is there's no consistency with the characters.
Right.
Look at this Batman and go back to when they first introduced him in the first story arc. And this one has no pouches. So Liefeld must have got the night off.
I guess since he's got 6 more friends now, he could take off 5 bandoliers of pouches.
So we got Wally, who is learning how to shoot. Since he can't run because of his legs, he is learning how to shoot very, very fast. So fast that he burns his hand with the gun.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the most interesting things that happens. I kind of always explain, because I'm sure some fanboy out there is like, man, what if the Flash used a gun? There'd just be no stopping him. But it's like, this guy shows why he would never use a gun. He'd just be moving too fast, and, the resistance would go against the gun and heat it up. It's actually like one of the most probably thought-out, logical type things in this whole story. Not to mention his metal legs, he really can't use them that well because they're metal, and the metal would heat up the more, resistance he puts against the metal. So, very interesting.
And so now we've got in the gladiator pit, Connor versus Wonder Woman. Not sure why everybody is rooting. And actually, is that an alien in the background?
Yeah, the colorist, man. He weird colors on that. Because if you look at the fist down there too, there's like a white guy. No, there's Wolverine there too. I just now noticed there's Wolverine next to Wonder Woman's staff. Huh. That's interesting. So yeah, there's a Wolverine cameo in a DC book. Go speculate on this one right now. And then you keep going with this. We got a white guy, a green guy, and then a black guy and a white guy again. So there's definitely a green fist in there. Not to mention Logan.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
So they go back and forth for a little bit. She's got an array. I don't know why she is wielding this staff, though.
Yeah, it's a weird-looking staff.
It looks like a kerplunkin. So she's got this kerplunkin staff, and now all of a sudden Superboy jumps through the lasso, picks her up, and he kisses her. and she punches him, and then she runs over to him. Weird dynamic. Does she know how old he is?
Well, that's why the kind of weird thing about this whole story is it's supposed to take place 10 years after the normal DC storyline. So I'd imagine he should be in his 20s, but everyone else is still like in their 30s. So that's where, you talk about continuity and everything. That's where it gets a little bit wonky. But if you read the very first panel of Elseworlds, it's like, some of these timelines should not exist. So I'm just accepting this as one of those because Superboy is still, I guess, technically a boy, but everyone else is still their normal age 10 years later.
So we had Superman and Lana. They're up there talking about the Resistance and how everything's going, and an arm reaches out and grabs her, and she screams, "Superman, help!"
And apparently she called off the day that the Metallics joined the Super 7 in that last panel of Adventures 6 Annual.
She wasn't there yet. She's a little shaken up by the whole ordeal. He's scanning her. He says she's clean, and all right, back to business. The Resistance, they've got some information. They're going to go make their move. We're in Metropolis, where the Daily Planet is just decimated, laying there. You've got the... Again, did the artist just say, I can draw the top half of Batman, but not the legs?
You forgot the most important part. Lana has finally put on pants and boots so she can finally navigate this rubble that is Metropolis instead of high heels and a yellow dress.
That's her city wear, because her sewer wear is the dress. Kind of like evening and day, And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Horde shows up. And Superman's not holding back. Green Lantern's not holding back. None of them are. They're going full balls to the wall. Now we're getting that weird looking Batman back.
Yeah.
Now his gauntlets...
Yeah, Batman, he's already like, what? The first mission in, and he's already, this is a trap. They'll all be sorry. And then he's blowing sewers up and everything already. So, but luckily Connor's got his back. Of all people have his back. I'm glad it was Superboy. So we finally start to get a little bit of switch between, instead of Superboy and Wonder Woman, now Batman and Superboy are going to be hanging out for a little bit, which is my highlight of this book for me.
But again, for you guys that weren't reading comics in the 90s, Batman's ears grew as it was just something with the mask. It was like an organism, a living organism. It grew the angrier he got. So right now, he looks like a rabbit. And he went from blue and gray to black and gray. And apparently they're fighting the Men in Black aliens from Men in Black 1. The guy was wearing an Edgar suit.
Yeah, you kind of think, like, why wouldn't all the aliens just get giant suits? Like, if this little jerk could have, like, this giant mech suit, why can't, like, the actual big aliens have even bigger suits? But I guess, when you're dealing with tactile telekinesis, it don't matter how big your suit is. Superboy will run right behind you and shatter you every single time.
So, here we have Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Metallo laying the smacketh down on these aliens. And in the corner, CM Punk Royal Rumble 94 style, or 2014 style, with a concussion, we have Wally West, who's just, I'm scared, I can't do it. And he's just panicking. Superman comes down, he saves Lana again. Lana's with Jimmy. They're fighting aliens. Superman flies off to fight some more aliens. Jimmy saves Lana. Wonder Woman shows up. And then what? Lana disappears. Where'd she go?
Lana, turns out she was a heel the whole time. So Batman knew way back when it was a trap not to trust Lana. And unfortunately, she came right through. She's still been working with the Horde the whole time. trying to keep that, I guess, peace between humans and the Horde. Unfortunately, the meta's coming back, and it completely interrupted the peace. So she infiltrated the Super 7, unfortunately, and now she's just didn't take too long to turn on them, that's for sure.
So as Jimmy is consoling with Wonder Woman, one of the aliens who isn't quite dead picks up a gun, shoots at Jimmy, and then, no! Jimmy, get back! Wonder Woman takes one right to the gut.
Oh, such a disappointment in the issue. Like, of all the people to take out first, why'd it have to be Diana? Like, and then she gets like this, like, oh, if it wasn't, I had to come back and protect you, Jimmy. If it wasn't for you, we never would have got Superman or Green Lantern. And she, kicks the bucket, unfortunately. But at least they do get this one kind of cool-looking panel at the bottom of page 20 where, you got the Batman ears are longer than ever, based on his new superpower in the 90s. But the cape looks really cool. And, the rest of the heroes kind of surrounding and mourning Wonder Woman. So, nice. We criticized the other, but I thought that was a nice little panel for her down there.
Is Superman lighting a cigarette in that panel?
Well, most likely.
Whoa.
Elseworlds, man.
Then we start off the next panel. We've got Wally West, who is just useless at this point and crying. Mm-hmm. We've got... I can't tell what is going on with Batman's cape, man.
Well, even his logo is like shiny now, but it's almost to his chin. So, not even sure what that like.
He looks like the Donnie Darko rabbit. That's it. Hashtag Donnie Darko rabbit. So now the Dome's
nice enough to offer to bury her since he's the caretaker of Ghost City. So that's where Wonder Woman's going to end up now. Ghost City.
So then the Horde shows their face. The humans, they're all, you know what, that's it. We're going to fight back. And Connor, the seven, they're having a meeting, and Tyler's getting up in Connor's face, and Connor's like, screw you guys, I'm out of here. And who does he run into? Furry Batman Bunny Rabbit. That is
he almost looks semi-normal. Not only has like one little eyepiece left at this point now, and like a couple gauntlets and only one belt. And then he gasses them to take him out. So apparently Superboy, he doesn't have too many weaknesses in his universe, but bat gas absolutely is one of them. Hashtag bat gas. So there you go.
But look at those ears in that close-up.
They go out of the panel. I love it.
I mean, does it get any better than that? So then, I guess Batman is wearing the alien costume, which is very reminiscent of the costume that the clone of Damian was wearing.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got a flaming knife, lightsaber now, gauntlet, and he cuts his way through, and he's taken Superboy into the aliens as their prisoner. So he gets in there. Superboy's still passed out. He takes out some of the alien scum. Alien scum. He takes off his outfit, which is now... Is it Spawn's cape? I don't get it. What is going on with this cape?
It always bothers me when heroes do this. They infiltrate somewhere. They have this like badass armor that's really awesome, and then they just take it off. It's like, I don't need this light sword anymore. I'm just gonna blow everything up anyway because I'm Batman and I have sweet ears and an awesome cape.
He wakes up Connor. He tells Connor his plan. Connor's a kid. He's angry about Young Justice getting canceled and have to pay $9.99 on the DC streaming channel. And he goes, I'm down. And all of a sudden, they're at the battle pits from Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah. You're not wrong.
And they decide to take out a Predator and a Skrull. if you look,
there's also an alien in there. He has a mask on, but it looks like that's like definitely like a xenomorph head on that one.
Scrolls, and I want to say that might be Daredevil. I'm not sure. We've had Logan. This is full of Easter eggs, guys.
Oh yeah,
and the batarang that he is. It's like they just drew the batarang after the fact.
Well, it's like the what's the weapon from Star Trek that Worf used to use?
Oh,
the little
the Klingon
battalion. That's like what they got at this point. He's dual wielding those toward the end of this little panel here, just trying to kill all of these aliens. But it's just funny to me that 7 of us couldn't take on all these aliens, but yeah, we're gonna wake up Superboy. I'm gonna take off my disguise, and we're just gonna kill everything in sight. Because the 2 of us stands a chance where apparently 7 of us can't.
Hey, that's what made... Now, this is Batman's 6th costume change at this point. His costume is now blue and gray. It's back to blue and gray. It went from one panel, black and gray, to the very next panel, light blue and gray. So,
and his ears are starting to sag a lot too. So
yeah, he's
they're
sweating.
Not even cool looking at this point. Like next on page 29, like they're just like at a 90-degree angle.
But now they're short.
It's ridiculous.
Now, as the aliens all jump on Batman and they're just beating him up, and he's getting ready to hit the self-destruct button, his ears are back to Frank Miller style.
I like to think the aliens just bit him off at this point.
Let's just hope, because in the background of the alien fight, Logan is there. Right dead square in the middle. Right
yeah, there he is.
Right across from the Abomination. So I'm happy. This is some 90s goodness with some.
Mm-hmm.
So now the battleship's going down. It's the aliens' mothership is crashing into Metropolis, and all of a sudden Superman is like, "Let's do this. We can take him out." I don't know what happened. Superboy crashes in. Superman, me and Batman. We just went up there. I don't know why. He said something about his mail not getting delivered to the cave. So I went help him, and all of a sudden the aliens were in there, and we ended up killing them all, and now their ship's going to crash. I think, is that okay? So now they crash onto the Earth. Superboy and Hal Jordan are the first ones out, whooping ass, taking names. And we've got Wally West, who is shooting super fast.
He has so many guns. He's shooting like 2 guns. He has guns on his back, and he has like 3 more guns holstered to his shoulders.
Now Hal screams over to him, "Wally! Slow down and watch your back. I don't want something to happen to you." Is that foreshadowing? Perhaps. Now, Gamora is going after Superman.
Yeah, the first and only female alien we get, and Superboy just punches her right in the face in one panel.
She's going after Superman, and Superboy takes him out. Like, what does Superman actually do in this book?
He flirts with Lana, thinking Lois is still alive, and he worked on a prison farm. That's pretty much it.
And now you have Metallo, who is basically just decimating all the aliens. And, all of Wally's guns are done. Hal is taking out a horde of the Horde. And right as he's about to land his final blow to the aliens, a spear is chucked. It's coming right at Hal's back.
Yeah, someone on the Horde did their homework. They knew they had to have one and only one yellow spear for their entire squadron. And they knew one day that Hal Jordan was going to come back, and he wouldn't stand a chance against that yellow spear. But unfortunately, though, Wally...
You'll never catch me!
He was waiting in the wings to do one thing in 2 annuals, and he finally did it. And it was a tearjerker.
He saves Hal, but he gets stabbed right in the ribs by a trident. Things escalated very quickly right there.
Yeah, they sure did.
So
yeah, then somehow it shifts to his sternum in the panel below that too. So then it got him there, I guess.
Did Hal just move it and put it in there?
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'll be all right." No, you're dying. I'm the caretaker.
I gotta bury you.
Yeah, I gotta bury everybody. I'm Hal Jordan of Ghost City.
So, Superboy and Superman go on the final stand, and they jump into the mothership. Superman is screaming, "Lois!" The Horde King, he looks at him, and guess what? There's no Lois. Lana tells him that, and Lana gets, she gets barbecued very quickly.
You can tell though they're back in the subterranean sewer type environment. She's got this little black dress number on. I'm assuming high heels. You can't see them because they're off panel, but just hilarious. Again, she switched out of terrain gear like pants and boots, and now she's in this outfit because they're either underground or in some sort of lair.
And she teased her hair and put her hoops in. So,
oh yeah.
If you look in the panel, the hoops are actually falling off of her head as she's getting fried.
Oh yeah, yeah, you can see both of them. Nice little. They finally had some attention to detail toward the end. It's like the opposite of the other one. Like the first part of this was rushed, but the second part is like, I gotta get those earrings in when Lana gets barbecued by this awesome looking alien.
So then Clark makes the first rush and he gets taken out with one punch. Superboy comes up behind, knocks out the Horde through the window. Boom, Metallo comes down for some apparent reason. They've taken Metallos out of Metallo's chest, and they're using kryptonite to keep Superman's power levels down. And then all of a sudden, since Superboy is half Kryptonian and half human, he's still able to go. He jumps up, he shoots some kind of yellow darts at Superboy. They bounce off his chest because of his tech field. They go mono to mono, one-on-one with the Great One, and he says, "Bada bing, bada boom, Superboy's the realest dude in the room." And then he gets his ass whooped. And then Metallo comes and shoves his the green kryptonite right through his chest.
Yeah, like I said, we've been kind of making fun of the art throughout, but I think the art somehow gets better toward the end. I like the panels with Metallo and him shoving his spike through the main bad guy's chest here. I think his name was Grindel, if I remember right. Yep. So Grindel, he's very menacing, he's very awesome looking, and maybe Superboy should have kept that gauntlet on because he has this new power all of a sudden toward the end where he can make a giant hand and just completely subdue Superboy while Superman's down from the kryptonite.
Now, Connor, he had the best powers of any of the Superboy, Superboys. And I actually like the dynamic of Lex and Superboy in this. It's almost
absolutely.
It's a father figure style, but this deranged robot. It's yeah, it's pretty cool. And then, Superman's getting better, and Metallo's putting his heart back in, and all of a sudden, a charred Lana Lane, looking like Freddy Krueger from the 90s, tells Superboy his fate, and eventually the Resistance wins. They take out the aliens, the Skrulls, the Predators, the Wolverines, and the Gamoras. And all of a sudden, your leader is dead, and you have Superman over top of everybody holding up the alien leader over his head, broken, just beaten to death. And wait a second, that's not Superman. Well, it is now, because he always said, "Don't call me a boy." So Superman has officially given the reins over to Superboy, and you get a little Green Lantern not burying anybody.
Yeah, on these last panels, it's just kind of awesome to see, Hal's back in his normal costume. Superboy's in the Superman costume, which is awesome. I was going to mention, just like from earlier, like, you really mentioned it perfectly. Clark Kent doesn't really do much in this one, does he? And like by the time, like all Superboy had to do was like kind of put on the costume and pose as Superman with someone he didn't even kill, and that inspired the humans to be like, "Oh my God, Superman's really back. We're gonna kick these aliens' butts." And then like why didn't Superman just do that from the beginning instead of like, I gotta get a flat top and wear this trench coat and cover up most of my costume and then pout about not having Lois around. So. Yeah.
So again, Superman or Superboy, he's gonna go off and he's gonna go to Truth, Justice, and an American Way, and he's rocking the Superman costume, and panels fly, doves fly, people are singing, sun shines again, daisies are coming out, and everything's good because Connor Kent is back.
That is our Superman.
That is some good 90s goodness.
Oh, absolutely.
If we only
final
get
panel is perfect.
Portion of that on the CW, I don't know what to expect. But I am truly, truly excited about the CW Elseworld. So what about you, Carson?
Oh, absolutely, me too. I don't know if everyone's been watching the promos, but between like the main little trailer they had for it, and I think the best one's probably like the Batwoman one, just because I finally start to talk about Batman in the CW universe. And, I can't remember if it was Barry or it's probably Barry. He was just like, yeah, I thought Batman was just some sort of crazy wild rumor. He's walking around with Cisco and Gotham, and then Batwoman shows up, and we're like, that doesn't look like no man. That's Batwoman or something like that. So it looks really awesome. I'm super excited to see what they can do with another one of my favorite characters, Kate Kane, Batwoman. And just to see, what the Monitor's going to be in the CW universe now. So we'll see, will the Monitor be a good guy, a bad guy? So far, he kind of looks like a bad guy. So they're pulling out a lot of stops going into this. And, just the whole involvement with the Monitor really hypes things up for me because, this year's 2018 when we're recording this, and 2020 has been hyped up for years in the Flash series. That's when the crisis is going to happen in the CW universe. So obviously with the Monitor now involved, I think this is going to have long-term effects going into maybe their 2020 crisis a couple years down the line, unless they just do it next year in 2019 going into 2020. We'll see.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. We had a blast. If you guys like it, let us know. We'll keep on doing them. We wanted to try something new. We wanted to do a little bit of editing for you guys. Maybe if you guys want us to do this live and you guys can jump in with us, we would love to have you. So with that being said, from the Comic Corps to you, I wish you well on your future endeavors. Good night.